What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Four Dads Podcast. A lot of crazy stuff going on in golf right now. I don't even know where to start. I mean, right now the big thing going on is the AT&T Pro-Am going on at Pebble Beach. Looked like an awesome first day. Patrick Cantlay playing at 6.5 hours is in the lead, I believe, with 8 under.
Basically one under per hour, huh? Okay.
Yeah, basically one hour per 1 under per hour. Did you get to watch any highlights today?
I watched a little bit this morning. I think they were saying that today was the day to attack if you wanted to do it, because
It was a beautiful day out there today.
Yeah, the rain's coming. It looked nice, but apparently it was like windy, like 11 to 12 mile-an-hour winds. Everyone was bundled up. But the rain's coming this weekend. I know I reached out to my buddy to see if I can get tickets to the Pro-Am that I got last year. And he said they heightened the security this year, where in order for him to, he can't even get people tickets. He was given tickets last year. This year, he could only get in with his credentials being a pro. If that was
I heard about that. Why do you think that is?
It must be because it's an elevated event now. Now that they can make more money off it, that would be my understanding, because before it was more relaxed. But I don't know.
Well, here's my thing. I mean, you brought up a good point last time that it just didn't dawn on me, but the players that are there are some big time players. You got Schauffele. I mean, you got Rory.
The best lineup that they've had in years.
JT, like all the big names. I mean, even Colin Morikawa was there. Like, So what I'm thinking is that there's got to be some type of appearance fee now, right? There's got to be some type of appearance benefit that's coming on, because I mean, what else would provoke these guys? I mean, you're basically out having fun for a round. You got the celebrities there. You got some amateurs. Like, is it really worth the trip for some of these guys? Maybe not, but for some of the top guys, it seems like they're kind of like, hey, if you want to make more money, show up and place, right? But going into that, I saw that there was going to be an equity available for some of the players now. Kind of changes the whole dynamic of the game, in my opinion, right? It's kind of the way of saying, like, thank you for being loyal. Like, here, you're an equity holder within the company, which I don't know. I've been under the impression for years that the PGA is a nonprofit. What equity could you possibly be holding, right? So,
right, yeah.
Where is that equity coming from? And if so, how have they been floating underneath the radar as a nonprofit, right? I mean, I'm just saying from
right.
from what I know from finances and kind of how, the way businesses are ran, like, one, the PGA does make a profit off of ticket sales. They make also a profit off of partnerships, and they make a profit off of food and beverage. Wherever they go, there's always a profit. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, is how much are they actually donating to, like, First Tee, the St. Jude. Well, I guess every tournament that's sponsored, right, is basically a donation.
Potentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
But kind of rambling off here, but what are your thoughts on that? Did you get a chance to read anything on it? Like,
yeah, vaguely, based off of tweets. I didn't really look in or click any links to look at the actual in-depth details, but I saw that the PGA Tour, they finalized the agreement with the Strategic Sports Group that injects about $3 billion worth of cash into new profit entity. And the top investors of this Strategic Sports Group is, and I'm just reading a tweet right here, this is not coming right off my head, Tom Warner and John Henry, who own the Boston Red Sox, Mark Atanasio, who owns the Milwaukee Brewers, Arthur Blank, who owns the Atlanta Falcons, Wick Grusbeck, who owns the Celtics, Steve Cohen, who owns the Mets, and Tom Ricketts, who owns the Chicago Cubs. So they have a lot of capital based just off of their teams that they own. You know, how much of those teams are worth. You know, it was crazy because, like, I'd say about a few weeks ago, I saw a tweet from Bryson DeChambeau saying that within a month or so, he expects a deal to be done with the PIF and PGA. Like, it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. And then now with this whole, you know, strategic sports group that came in at like the 11th hour, it seems like that still could happen, but it's less of a chance to happen because they got all this extra money that they were worried about that they weren't going to be able to, quote unquote, fight with the Saudis anymore because they're running out of money for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. That's what I'm saying is, like, if you're going to go with equity cost, right? I mean, that grows depending on the popularity of the game, right?
Right.
Obviously, you already have the upper echelon of people who are primarily attending the majority of these events, who are also putting into huge sponsorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about the AT&T Pro-Am, right? Like, you got Rolex, who has an entire suite, who pays for that, for their name to be branded, right? You have like the there's a company called like something sports group. They normally lock down the 14th hole, right? There's like a house that's right there, and they normally lock down that whole thing, and it's all just like, you know, owners, VPs within these companies and all this stuff. And that's what I'm saying is like, like you have all these people, but yet where is that money? Where is that donation going? Right. I mean, you would think it would go back into the players. It'd also go into the purses, but also there's just a lot more, I think, that kind of uncovers where every dollar goes. Right. I mean, you got to think about like security. You got to think about like event management, you know.
And imagine how much they pay people on the course that are like that are volunteers, if they had to actually pay those people. Like, imagine how much
it would have to be $25 an hour. I mean, come on, if McDonald's is getting paid that, why wouldn't they?
No, I'm saying like how much money they're saving based off of people volunteering. You know, that's amazing. Oh, here's a couple sweatshirts, you know, and you get to see players up close. There you go.
Yeah, here's a $250 rain jacket plus another $175 hoodie. Like, here's
that you would buy for $175. We bought for $10. Exactly. We took us $20 to make, but we give it to you for $175.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, could you imagine just seeing some people, some volunteers, just like let's say Colin Morikawa. Hey, Colin, check out my CD. Check out my CD. They're just like, hey, check out my rap album. I'm trying to get big. Can you please check it out? Send it to your manager.
Yeah. My manager, he listens to country music. Oh, he must be friends with John.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's like I said, it's an interesting time, you know, and like, it's just kind of, I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I feel like now, like kind of what you were saying, I feel like now because they have this new capital that came in, like, is combining LIV and the PGA really important now? No, I feel like there's better media, better attention that comes from it. I mean, listen to what the people are saying, right? Like, here we can go into our next subject, the match, right? I mean, Max Homa with Thompson. I think I forget who the other person is, and I sent you the picture. Who is the other person?
I'm blanking, man. No, I know it's Max Homa. That's all I would care about. Lexi Thompson, and I don't know the other two people off the top of my head. It's not.
Yeah, hang on.
It has to be someone from the PGA Tour, not Colin, is it?
No, it's not Colin. Let me see. Hang on.
It's got to be someone who's entertaining.
Hold on. Oh, Rory and Rosa Zhang.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry. That's the best you can do. Like, every year, people literally tell you who would be the best people. Like, and here's the other thing: since it's the match, and you know how every year on the PGA they have to do something where, or people get a bonus for who creates like the most hype on social media. Why are they not doing that with? make the match the boxing match for those people, right? Like,
yeah,
bet big money, talk, as much crap as you want,
mm-hmm.
remove all the the rules of the certain profanity. Like, HBO's already putting it on. Like, you can't ask for a better partner to basically be like, hey, we can say whatever the heck we want and not lose any sponsors, not have any type of consequences for what it is. Like, I'm talking mess to this guy because he's been effing with me
Just
all
put it on
year.
HBO. Just put it on
It is
HBO, dude.
it is on HBO.
Well,
HBO is
then that
streaming it
makes
this
no
year.
sense at all. That makes no sense at all
Yeah.
because, yeah, I mean, I feel like it kind of reminds me of the NBA dunk contest where it's like every year for the last like 15 years, people want LeBron James to like his dunks that he has in game are insane. Imagine what he would do, but he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then like he gets there and it's like, no, we end up with some white dude that's like 6'1" that plays in the G League, but we bring him and allow him.
That dude's legit.
Hey, don't get me wrong. He's got hops, but I mean, like, they only bring him to the All-Star game for the dunk contest. He doesn't even play in the NBA.
He stole the show. He stole the show.
White. That's what I'm saying. No. Like, you have those people that would make it very entertaining. Give me Rory versus Phil Mickelson. Okay, give me that'd be freaking awesome. I know Phil. I mean, they're really good at banter to begin with, especially Phil. Phil is comedic gold. Like, why not have him on there? Even if you have multiple times, Max Homa is definitely a good catch in my opinion. Rory, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like he could try, but I don't know.
He's the golden boy. He's the PGA golden boy. He's not going to do anything to mess up his his persona, right?
Right. And I mean,
Max already goes onto Twitter and just rips on people already.
Oh, I love it. That's how I found Max Homa. That's why I become a big fan of his, like, way before he even got this good. But moving on a little bit, Full Swing 2 coming out March 6th. And that will actually be featuring Rory McIlroy, which is a little interesting. But on top of that, they're still having Dustin Johnson on LIV on there, which was very interesting because I think he's the only one at least listed on the group that is LIV. And I'm looking at the lineup right now: Rory, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, Tom Kim, Joel Dahman, Matt Fitzpatrick, Alex Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark, Keegan Bradley, Justin Rose, and Luke Donald and Zach Johnson. So, what are your thoughts on the new Full Swing? I can't wait. It'll be interesting to see how they do it this year.
I just hope it's not like last year where it's just continuous play of like the US
Open tournament for like 8 episodes of like how everyone's like, come on, dude. Like
I mean, for Dustin, I feel like he's kind of the advocate. I mean, he was the first real big player to go LIV. Next to Phil, no disrespect, but it's like, I feel like that's why they're keeping it. I would like to see Brooks back on there and kind of discuss some of the stuff from like the Masters and how he almost won that,
and then how he won another major, and then last year as well,
another major, and just kind of talk about it because it's like Dustin hasn't won anything in a while. I mean, Brooks is really the only guy who came in and kind of earned, still kind of stuck it to the PGA, saying like, dude, I'm still going to come in and own your tournaments. Like, get out of here, And I think me just being a fan, but also just kind of looking at things from the other side is like, were there any repercussions for him winning? Right? Like, did the PGA take a little longer to pay him? Like, did they maybe
pay him in pennies?
Payments? Yeah, they paid him in payments or something like that. Like, just something petty. I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be fun to hear. But I mean, yeah, dude, I'll be interested to see how it turns out. I don't know. I'm keeping my expectations low just because since it says that since it's featuring Rory, right, which means that kind of like how Justin Thomas was really like the focus of the whole thing. I mean, I don't know, bro. I'm just kind of over Rory. Like,
Yeah,
with
he's already in the
everything.
media too much, where it's like,
Yeah, exactly. And he just says the same repetitive stuff where it's like, dude, be optimistic. Like you really can't be that dumb to think that shit, I was offered 750 million. Like that's life-changing to anybody. It doesn't matter what level of integrity you have. Like you're still playing golf and you're still a professional, yet
mm-hmm.
you're talking about generations of wealth. And probably with how good these guys diversify their money, I guarantee you that 750 billion turns into the same thing next year.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and I mean, like, but the thing with Rory too, like, he also is someone that is so roller coaster. Like, one day, 1 week, he says a certain thing, like he's going to die on this hill. Like 6 months ago, there has to be consequences to their actions. We can't just let the people who go to live back in. Was it yesterday or the day before?
I know
I
that
think
was,
live.
yeah.
I think live players should be able to return back to PGA Tour without punishment. Okay, well, that's odd. Why did you say that and change your mind? Like, what? Like, why are you backtracking instead of being like, you know what? Hey, I've thought about it. I mean, heck, this could have been like a quote where they tried to misquote him. But hey, I really thought about the situation, and I was wrong, and I understand why they probably did that. Not everyone's in my situation, where I'm set for life, and I totally understand that now thinking about it, because if I have a chance to go somewhere for 100 million, Rory's already making like 300 million with all sponsorships a year, and I've only made like $4 million in my life as a professional golfer. Why, like, say it to my face, Rory, that like I shouldn't be back in, or like our situation are the exact same,
Yeah, yeah.
like, it just, to me,
But see, like
yeah.
that's, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go
that's
ahead
it.
and
That's
finish.
it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's
I
it.
was just gonna say, like you said like Rory's set for life. I really don't think Rory's made that much money. I mean, when you think about someone who's just absolutely dominated the field, first person comes to mind is Tiger. Tiger has made $1 billion just in tournaments. That's not
Oh, I'm
even
not saying
money.
tournaments. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, like, Nike
Oh,
endorsements. That, like, no, definitely not tournament wise money. No,
yeah. Well,
you're right
still,
there.
I don't even. But still, again, I don't even think that he's getting paid. I don't know. I mean, he might be, but it's like if it's a performance based contract, it's like, dude, you dropped the ball so many times. Like, sure, you
Yeah.
keep us relevant, but holy smokes, dude! Like, you switch putters like Don Julio. You got something new in the bag every single weekend.
Different putter grips
Yeah,
and all that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, dude.
He still can't putt. It's like he's so focused on on
Well,
hitting
400
great.
yards.
Yeah, exactly. Which is cool. Like, okay, awesome. But again, I don't hear anybody complaining. And this is kind of verting off of something else, but I don't hear anybody complaining about how far he hits it with him only being 5'6", 5'7". But yet Bryson comes back, turns into the Hulk, is literally hitting the ball 412 yards. And this dumb rule of, oh, we need to do the rollback, or we need to redesign courses because of Bryson. It's like, so we leave it the same for a European? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. None. He I mean, he tears up.
Think about how cool it is, though. Like, how cool it would be for, like, just Bryson DeChambeau or whoever you are to be someone in a professional sport that literally is the reason for a rule change that
or even
changed a
just a
game
or even just
forever.
a course, even just a
Well,
course
yeah,
redesign. Yeah.
right. But like in the NFL, like, you can't hit quarterbacks low anymore, right? That's like Tom Brady rule when he tore his ACL. Imagine being that defender who you probably can't even name, who did that, who's just now maybe coaching high school or has his family or whatever. And it's like, that rule you can't hit. That's all because of me.
Yeah.
Like that'd be such a cool claim to fame. Like the
Yeah.
Buster Posey rule, like the guy who slid into Buster Posey to break. You can't hit catchers anymore. And for like decades, catchers were like, you better like wear this and hold on to the ball. You're gonna get railed, and
Mhm.
if you drop it, it's your fault. It's not the guy who laid you out and you had no
Yeah.
idea when he was coming, when you're supposed to be paying attention to a ball coming like 90 miles an hour at you.
But also to that point, right? You have to think of the sports situations, right? Tom Brady for the Pats was worth millions of dollars, millions
Oh
of
no,
dollars.
I completely get the reasons for it.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
he's the absolute franchise, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is like, and we're seeing it bright as day with everything that's been going on in the playoffs, and kind of the fact that Roger Goodall, personally handpicked these referees for every single game. It's like, okay, well, let's look at the stats from around this, and we're moving off of golf here, but I'm just saying, let's look at the stats and everything. Ever since Travis Kelce started dating Taylor Swift, she has made the NFL an extra 300 and something $1 million in, I guess, in broadcasting views or whatever, right? But then also, oddly enough, he ends up becoming Mr. Football Big Pharma, right?
Yeah.
Ends up getting a sponsorship with Pfizer, where
Mm-hmm.
the NFL
Mr.
never
Pfizer.
before, the NFL before never even thought about advertising anything like that. I mean, I think their biggest farm advertisers was like Viagra and Dan Marino's food, his cleanse food eating, right, with Frank Thomas and all this shit.
Oh, yep.
Whatever that one was, and then also the testosterone boosters. That's it. Now all of a sudden, you see Pfizer on there every game.
2 for 1. 2 for 1.
Yeah. I'm like, the heck? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
And I mean, the one person who's kind of called it, called attention to it, obviously, is Aaron Rodgers with some of the podcasts he's been on, right? I mean, he's called it exactly like it is, and it's weird, man. It's just really weird to me how that is. But again, from going back to golf, you make a good point to be the guy who ends up having to make Augusta National change for the first time in over 50 plus years, 65 plus years, because the trees aren't tall enough and you tank the ball over the trees, like just cuts it in half, right? But again, I think Justin Thomas hits it on the nose when that first kind of came out, is like, golfers aren't what they used to be back in the day, and the reason, or back in like the early 80s, and he literally said the reason for that is Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods changed the physicality of a golfer. I mean, no one else was doing deadlifts. No one else was focusing on bench press and hip rotation and deltoids and all this different stuff. It was more about fast twitch muscles, right? Being elastic, being able to create separation and be smooth. But now it's violent. It's a violent smooth. And that's where it's like, that's what you get. And with today's technology, I mean, we've talked about it before, right? We talked about how LeBron James spends $1.7 million just purely on body rehabilitation every year.
It's insane.
Like in going back to Full Swing highlighted how these guys literally have a full on workout center at every single event that they're at. And if you look at this stuff and you look at like guys like Joey Golf, right, who are revolutionizing the way that these big time players are creating power, everything that's in these mobile gyms is based off of the stuff that he uses, right? I mean, it's crazy. Like, why is the USGA and the NC, sorry, I was going to say NCAA, but the why is the PGA and the USGA punishing these guys for bettering their bodies? They are professionals, right? It's like, you don't want
I think
these out there.
Exactly. No, but I think it's mainly because the downside of like you were bringing up that like athletes in general are like better than they ever have been, ever, because we have so much information for the last 50 years, 100 years, depending on how old a sport is. Let's say golf, for example. You look at the golfers from the 30s, they were smoking cigarettes, having all these drinks, didn't work out, and all this stuff. They didn't take care of their bodies. They just went up and hit. They're just really good at hitting a golf ball and really good at putting. That was it, and now you have like even baseball players, like back in like the 30s or 40s, like they were terrible shape. Now you have high school teams that condition themselves better than players from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Like they like off the field, not just on the field, but they condition their bodies for, like you said, fast twitch and stuff like that. It's just so different. There's so much more information out there that we know how to prepare, how to, like you said, rehabilitate, recover your bodies, how to make your time that you put towards a sport more worth it than it used to be, where it's like, oh, we think this might help, but we're not sure. Now it's like, okay, you want to work on biceps? I got you. You want to work on triceps? I got you. We can do this for 30 minutes and we'll power through this instead of, okay, I think this will help. There's not too much science behind it, but now there is. But
yeah,
I will say, on a separate note, last week or week before, you recommended I put wrist tape on my wrist, and I've done it at the range twice. I've played around, and I went on the simulator last night at my buddy's house across the street, and I got no pain in my wrist when I use that wrist tape, dude. It's freaking insane. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It was such an easy, obvious thing that I could have done that I just did not think about, and it doesn't like cut me off or throw off my game at all, and it gives me so much confidence.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that.
Yeah, you got it. Well, I will say, after watching the video today of you and Brandon playing from the back tees, you were squaring up the ball a lot more than I think you had in the last few rounds that we played, which is really saying a huge difference, because I mean your miss is so small, like, but I could hear the difference, like when compared to when Brandon hit it, like when he was like, oh, high toe, or like, you know, just center toe or whatever, you could hear like you were squaring it up. It was just more of like alignment. And he called you on a few of those, right? He was like, oh yeah, you were just kind of aimed a little over that way. And it was like, oh, like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
But you could hear, and I think maybe because it, like, maybe you weren't throwing your wrist so much, maybe you weren't like over exaggerating your your bow at the top. I don't know what it would have been, but I could hear the difference. So I was like, ooh,
dude, I was hitting it so well. And that, like, I was hitting the long ones very well that day. My driver was pretty good. My 3-wood was on point. Like, dude, playing that course from the waybacks just makes it feel like you're playing a completely different course. And like, you're literally just like, okay, well, here are the tee boxes, and Brandon's like, oh yeah, those are ours. And you got to like drive the golf cart over there. There's not even like a path. It's like insane how far back. Some of the tee boxes like literally were just dirt. It was like, okay, you would assume that they put some better grass on these things. And on the 8th hole, if you saw on the 8th hole, it's literally in front of the tee box of the 2nd hole, par 5. The 8th, you just cut across. It's like I mentioned in the video, I'm like, it feels like I'm hitting off the back of a deck, where it just feels weird. You're hitting into, you don't know where you're hitting it. And it was really, really cool. And I feel like if you would have made it, we definitely would have shot under par, because we would have had one extra shot. And that would have been so clutch on so many holes. We ourselves could have shot like 2 under easily. We missed like a 4-foot putt, both of us. We like got unlucky on a few other things, but like, it was a great day too. It was like 66 degrees. It was like no wind. It was perfect, man. It would have been next time you come out, we definitely got to try that.
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, it looked like a completely different course, but yeah, man. I know last call we mentioned, or not last call, last podcast I mentioned I'd be playing Pebble. Well, there was a bit of a switch up, but I played a course that was just as awesome, which is I played Black Course on this Wednesday. Yesterday.
Oh, by the way, send me that video that you posted on Instagram. Send me that video. I want to put a shot tracer on it. That was okay. Sick.
Yeah. And I played with a guy named Kyle, a guy named Danny, and another guy named Austin, all friends of Corey. They work within the business that we do. And dude, it was really fun. I mean, we ended up shooting 12 under as a group, shot a 60. We thought we were really in contention, and there was a group that shot like 57. We're just like,
were handicaps involved or no? It was just
straight up. Yeah. And what was cool was like everyone equally contributed, like really well. That was the thing. It was like, you know, I'll have Teets put up the video so that way you guys can kind of see. But that was by far the shot of the day. I had one drive I had one drive that was on number 10, slightly downwind, little dogleg right. Dude, I hit that ball about 412 yards. Like, it was down the
We could
slope.
have used a few of those. We could have used a few of those, Don Julio. Let
Yeah,
me just say.
it was crazy. Like, so one of the guys in our group, his name is Kyle. He's a big dude. He rips the ball. Like, hands down, he was crushing it. He hit one drive that from where we measured it, he had hit it about 315 yards. And we're like, man, I was like, I could have swore mine was like right down the middle of the fairway. And I'm like walking down, and all of a sudden there's a cart guy who's down like by the green, maybe 30 yards away from the green. And he's like, right here. The only downside is because I put a little cut on it, it went with the slope and it just rolled through the fairway into like an OB area. So I was like, oh, that sucks. So we ended up having to go back, and we ended up playing from his ball because it was a best ball, but still, like, I measured that out, and he was like, is this your drive? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I've never seen the ball up here. And so it was cool, but we had a lot of great shots. I mean, I met a lot of cool pros out there, and kind of the highlight of the day was I met Rich Lerner, longtime Golf Channel guy. He's been around the game for a long time. It's funny, he does not look his age, like, at all. The dude is he's a tall, skinny guy, but he looks so young. And he was sharing stories about, like, when he would be interviewing Jack Nicklaus when he was competing, he got to see the whole rampage of Tiger Woods, every single event from Ryder Cup to Masters to U.S. Opens, like players tournaments, everything. He was at every single event, and he was raving about all these things and the interactions he had. And he goes, he did say one thing. He was like, the interactions that I've had throughout my career, he's like, it's memorable because off the course, these guys are just so, like, they're so illuminating. They're just full of, like, excitement and just high levels of competitiveness. But then he's like, to see them go from being like jokesters off the course to then all of a sudden just locked in on the course, he's like, you wouldn't even want to cross some of these people's path just the way that they are sometimes. And I was like, that's awesome. Then he was, then he was really talking about his stories with, like, Arnold Palmer and all this stuff. And it's like, man, like, what would it, like, it just made me ask, like, if you had the opportunity to talk to any player, what would you say? Like,
oh, me?
Us? Well, just in general, like if you had the opportunity to play around with your favorite golfer, what would you talk about? Would you ask them questions about your game? Would you just ask them, like,
I don't know, dude. I would just like to play around. Yeah. If I could just play around and then just talk and kind of listen and kind of figure out. I want them to talk out loud how they play.
Yeah.
Just to hear what a mind inside of it's like. Because I mean, you and I, we played like semi-pro and nothing crazy, but to an extent, like, that's basically like a professional athlete in the sense that they're regular people. Just like we talked with, Zach Neal. They're regular people that are just good at a sport and dedicate their life to a sport, and that's that. They play fantasy football, they play basketball with their friends, they hang out, they play golf. Like, it's just they're really good at golf. But yeah, one thing I do have actually no. Who else did you meet while you were at Pebble Beach?
I met a lot of people. I met the first assistant, who actually is an old friend of mine. Met the first assistant of instruction, or the assistant director of instruction from Olympic. His name's Nick. Super cool dude. Met this woman named Helen, who is she's on the Epson tour, which is like the Corn Ferry for women. She's super cool. Met this really awesome another girl who's rehabbing and coming back and trying to compete on the Epson Tour. Her name is Sarah Camarena. Dude, she nukes the ball. She hit a drive for us on a hole that was like, it just sounded different compared to like how everyone else kind of hit the ball. But I'm saying from like from like some of the other women, but man, she ripped it. It was pretty impressive.
Dang.
Every single hole had a professional. I met like
that's cool.
Like the assistant coach of Cal State Fullerton for the women's golf team. Oh, I forget what this guy's name is, but he's actually on the Korn Ferry. And what's funny is one of his biggest sponsors, which is the Vaughn Foundation. I was like, "Are you sponsored by Greg Vaughn?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You know about the Vaughns?" And I'm like, "I played in the tournament when they were celebrating. I played in the Cal alumni tournament when they were celebrating him getting the gold spike, right?" And they were like, and he was like, "Oh, you know Andrew?" And I was like, "I don't know him, but I know of him because he got the Golden Spike Award, right?" And I don't know if you heard about it when you were in college, but it's basically the Heisman for baseball players. Like
right, yeah.
You look at the names that are on there. You have Veritek, Buster Posey, Tim Lincecum, Bryce Harper, which I found was weird. Only being that he like
played at JUCO.
Yeah, that he played at JUCO because primarily a lot of these guys are supposed to be like D1, universities. And then there was like Todd Helton. There was Steven Strasburg. There was Verlander. There was David Price. Like all these dudes who were like the best players in all of college baseball, like all listed. And here's this kid, Andrew Vaughn, who just had got it. It was just insane to see it. I have pictures of it somewhere, but I was just like, wow. Like I said, how'd you get that sponsor? And he's like, my dad, I guess, worked for his company, and he was the first person who said, "Hey, like I'll sponsor you." And so he's got it on his bag. He's a Sac State kid. Man, he hits the ball country mile, but also he's like 6 foot. He's like 6'6". I mean,
oh dang, he's like a buster.
Dude, he just creates some serious separation. And I was like, we all were just like, whoa.
Dang.
Whoa, dude. Yeah, it was pretty impressive.
Dude, so one thing I do want to talk about, or I had a question for you right before we probably wrap up this podcast. And it's one thing that I think is really cool. And I think kind of slipped under the radar because I didn't even hear about it until I was on our Four Dads Twitter and just looking over some things that are for me. And it says LIV Golf has a new tech partnership with Google that will allow fans to watch any group or player live throughout a whole tournament round. The Any Shot, Any Time feature is expected to roll out full in the summer. Like, just thinking about that, I didn't even click on like the link itself, but what do you think about that? And do you think that will be something that even the PGA Tour will bring on their end? Because I feel like that's like the coolest thing. Like, that's what everyone's been waiting for years.
That kind of pisses me off. That kind of pisses me off because I put in a lot of effort. No, not even what we missed, but it's just more of like, I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, right? Like I work in tech now, and so I had been reaching out to those guys aggressively. I've had several conversations with those guys, and they go with Google as a partner instead of just creating their own experience using my company's technology. Like, I've had so many conversations with those guys, and man, that pisses me off. But it's about freaking time. I knew LIV was going to probably be the first. Was probably going to be the first. Was going to be the first tour to do it. I mean, they don't, and here's the benefit is that they don't have the big network contracts, right? They were on CW, like,
yeah,
it's small. So now, this is literally where they can say, hey, we're going to really make it about the fans and make sure that fans can follow who it is that they want to follow. Because here's the other thing. And I don't know if you can do this on LIV, but I'm sure, but like kind of like how you can do it on the PGA, I'm sure there's going to be bidding that's going to be coming along, right? So if you have money on a certain team, right, you're expecting that team to do a certain number. You're also expecting a certain performance out of a certain player. Why would you not watch that specific player, right?
100%.
So that's where I'm saying it's a genius idea, and it's about time. Like the PGA, the PGA this year specifically, they partnered with IBM Watson, particularly because it's AI.
Yeah.
So when the Masters comes around in April, you know how everyone downloads the Masters app, but basically what you'll be able to do this year is you will be able to actually watch your favorite player. You'll see stats come up of your favorite player. You'll be able to you'll be able to do, you'll be able to be more interactive just for the Masters though. So they're testing with the Masters. If it hits, you'll probably see it for every major, right? So that way when people join virtually compared to just watching it on your TV, because people, I mean, our generation, everything is streamed. We don't have standard cable TV, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why not? Right? People don't mind downloading an app for their favorite event. So
right. Why not?
Why restrict yourself with just being able to have crazy amount of traffic and then basically, okay, well the tournament's done. We're just gonna delete it off our phones and then re-download it in April again next year. Right?
Well, you have all the camera angles anyway, like, and you're recording everything. So why can't you put this on someone's phone, on a TV, on a channel, on a web page where someone can access it?
Yeah, the TV wouldn't be able to work just because it's multiple places. I mean, the feature.
Well, the TV I get, but I'm talking about like things that like it isn't on the live. You have like the live stream, and then you can go to something else where it shows other things that you can look at. Where it's not on ABC or NBC or CBS. But it kind of reminds me of like Galaxy with when they try to compete with Apple and the iPhone. Like every year, Galaxy seems to come out with something new, innovative every single year. And then the following year, Apple goes, that's cool. I'm going to put it in my phone. Thanks for working on your butt off. And I'm going to put it in my phone basically for free, change it up a little bit, make it mine. And thank you for doing all the hard work. And I'm going to get all the credit because I have my loyal people. The only downside is with the PGA Tour, I don't think there's still definitely loyalists out there, but it's not like so aggressively where it's like, oh, it's PGA Tour only. Now it's like, they got Jon Rahm, okay. And apparently Anthony Kim is for sure going to be joining LIV. It's supposedly supposed to make a debut in early March, I think.
Yeah, I saw that.
That should be pretty dope.
But also, like, here's the thing. Again, like exactly what you said, right? Why are you not able to watch your certain person, follow the people that you want? The PGA is so deep in ESPN, right? ABC, CBS, like Paramount, all the big networks. It's like, no, we're gonna let them follow their favorite player for 3 holes, and then we're gonna take up 12 minutes of commercials, and then we'll come back to it. Like, that's just how it is. And people, like, even myself, I'm like, I don't care about these commercials, man. I'd rather just watch like a break on intermission right now. Like, I mean, it's the same thing like at Augusta. Like, you hear people who are there who have literally said, yeah, sometimes if it's the last day and it's big, like they tell players to hold on, tell players, hang on, give 5 minutes, wait, commercial break.
Bro.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we saw when we went to AT&T, right? Like, I think it was Jordan. Jordan was there, and there was like everyone was like, "Why is he just standing there? Like, what's he waiting for?" The people have cleared the green. Someone said, "Oh, it's commercial break," and I was like, "So dumb." Like they can replay it. These commercials, like, come on.
They already do replay like half of the shots earlier,
exactly,
a few minutes ago. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, a lot of stuff has happened this week, which has been great, fun to talk about. Hopefully we'll be able to get Don Julio and I another round in soon because it was a big bummer. We could have so used him last weekend with me hitting really, really well and gaining some confidence. But I think it's a good time to wrap up the podcast for this week. Thank you, Eric, guys, for all your support and everything. We love just talking golf. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. We got a lot of Four Dads hats stuff. If you guys are interested. One move that I did see, Bob Does Sports, they did make a play for waste management. We do have Masters Edition hats, and guess what colors they also match with? waste management. So if you're looking for a waste management color hat with green and yellow, we got you covered as well. Hit us up on the DMs and we'll be happy to send you guys out a hat. And with that, don't forget to stay fly and go low, and we'll see you next week.